First and foremost, I want to give all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai Ba'ashem Rokakwadash. Yahweh is to this world ignorantly calls God. Yahweh Shai is to this world ignorantly calls Jesus. Bahashem means in the name, Rakah means spirit, and Kodash means holy. And that's all in the Paleo Hebrew. I also want to give double honors to the elder bishops and apostles of Great Millstone that taught me this truth. And I have a video right here, which is a compilation of, a couple women, three women, seems like, that are just going off about how I can't make it anymore. I can't live here in America no more. I'm working 2, 3 jobs and it's not enough. I'm living paycheck to paycheck. I'm catching hell. What you're about to see is what soon the entire world is going to be like. The mentality of every single person eventually will be this, desperation. And at the end of the day, that's why Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai, is the main priority, why this truth is the only solution, because this world is ultimately going to fail you, and it's prophesied to fail you. So I'm going to get some scriptures, and then I'll play the video. This is Isaiah chapter 19, and verse 1. It says, "The burden of Egypt, behold, Yahweh rideth upon a swift," or Yahweh Shai, right? Because this is ultimately talking about Yahweh Shai, not the Most High. Because you can read in Acts the first chapter how the same way the Lord left in a cloud, he's coming back in the cloud, which is going into a vehicle. So it says, "Behold, the Lord rideth upon a swift cloud, shall come into Egypt, and the idols of Egypt shall be moved at his presence, and the heart of Egypt shall melt in the midst of it." Right? And that's going into how, the mind, right? I believe that word heart there in the Hebrew goes into lab, which means inner man mind, right? So the mind, the mentality of America, of these Americans, is gonna melt, is gonna completely disappear when they see the Messiah coming back, because first and foremost, majority of people don't even believe in the Messiah. The second, they're gonna be shocked at his complexion, right? When all these people are praying to, a white Cesare Borgia, a white, blonde haired, blue eyed guy, called Jesus, when they realize that his name's not Jesus and yet he's actually dark skinned, that's going to throw him for a pickle. It's going to throw him for a loop. So it says, "And I will set the Egyptians against the Egyptians, and they shall fight everyone against his brother, and everyone against his neighbor, city against city, and kingdom against kingdom." Right? And that's going into civil war, American against American. And the reason why this is going to take place is because of the tribulation that is going to come upon this earth. Right? We can also read that same scripture in 2nd Ezra chapter 16, and actually 2nd Ezra chapter 15, and I'll start at verse 2nd Ezra 15 and 19. It says, "A man shall have no pity upon his neighbor, but shall destroy their houses with the sword and spoil their goods because of the lack of bread and for great tribulation." Right? So people are going to be attacking each other because they ain't got no food and life is difficult. They're going to be on survival mode. So we're starting to see the beginning of that. And like I said, this is just a little glimpse of what's coming, right? It's not just, these women nowadays. Soon it's going to be the entire world. Now, let's read this in verse 3. It says, "And the spirit of America shall fail in the midst thereof, and I will destroy the counsel thereof, and they shall seek to the idols and to the charmers and to them that have familiar spirits and to the wizards." Okay, and that's the key point I wanted to get here, is that American, the spirit, the hope in America, the hope that everything is going to get, good again, all that is going to fail. All that is going to disappear. And once that disappears, these people are going to be looking for the left hand means, witchcraft, in order to try to find, relief. But what they don't understand is that this is ultimately the will of the Lord. And, those demonic spirits, the left hand side, ultimately works for the Most High. Okay, that's another loop for these people, that they don't understand that the left hand side works for the right hand side. So I'm going to read this here in Proverbs chapter 29 and verse 2. It says, when the righteous are in authority, the people rejoice, but when the wicked beareth rule, the people mourn. And that's why we see what we see today in America, is because the wicked are ruling. The wicked are in authority. And that's why you see all these people mourning, because the laws and legislations that are being passed are ultimately not beneficial for the people. Right? If you were a righteous ruler, you would do the best you can so that your average citizen, wouldn't be struggling. Same thing for a business, right? You want to make a good business, make sure that your employees are not suffering. That they're happy to come to work. It doesn't feel like a chore, like slavery. And you're going to see how, they perform. And that's the key point. Goes back to what I said. When the righteous are in authority, the people rejoice. But when the wicked beareth rule, the people mourn. And we are in a time period where the wicked are in authority. And that's why you see, what I'm about to play. Now I'm going to get one more scripture before I play the video. This is Matthew chapter 24, verse 12. And because iniquity shall abound, the love of many shall wax cold. Right? So iniquity goes into sin upon sin. The condition of without law. Right? Because ignorance of it. Because of violating it. Contempt and violation of law. Iniquity. Wickedness. Right? So because wickedness is going to abound, the love of many is going to wax cold, which means that people are not going to be out here, loving each other how they used to. That love of, come over, have some food, all that is going to die out. And we already see the beginning of that, if you just walk down the streets. Now, I'm going to play this video finally, and ultimately it's going to speak for itself.
Who's out here living the American dream, but I can tell you one person who isn't, and that's me. I have 4 kids and I'm working 3 jobs and I'm still struggling. My full-time job, I'm a 911 dispatcher. My other 2 jobs, I'm a waitress. The American dream should not be this hard. I should not have to be working my life away, being away from my kids. Sometimes I have to pick, am I going to pay my electric bill or am I going to buy groceries? Because my kids need to eat. This is not the American dream. I'm so tired of struggling. So many people are going to work, working multiple jobs just to pay for a house to sleep in. Just to put their head down at night. This is not the American dream, not my American dream. That's why I started posting here on TikTok. So hopefully I can slow down some so I can spend time with my kids. Life shouldn't be this hard. I know one person that's making 6 figures and they're still struggling. Why's it gotta be so hard? Anyways, if you want to help this mama out from struggling, you know what to do. I'm headed into work to work at Buffalo Wild Wings today. I have to work a double, say a prayer, I make some money.
You guys, we are being priced out of living like it is nobody's business. People are financing groceries, buy now, pay later on milk, eggs, and bread. Like, it's actually kind of crazy to think about. And I've also noticed that, there's a decrease in the hustle culture conversations that used to happen so much when people would tell you to start a side hustle or open a business to make extra income. Yeah, I'm noticing those conversations aren't happening as much. And it is so indicative of where we are today as a society. Like, we are being priced out of everything. And it's just so crazy to see, and also disappointing to think about the fact that this is the economy that I have to see in my 20s. This is literally the worst time to be in your 20s, honestly.
Y'all, so this is a transparency post. Never in my life I would think I would be in line at a church to get donation food that's given back to the community. Like my shame, my ego, everything's out the window when it comes to my kid. My kid need food. I need food. Like, if the government's gonna take taxes out of everybody's check, and then when it's time for us to qualify for food stamps, so if you deny, it's like, what's the point? My taxes should be able to pay for my food. It's sad. It really is sad. Like, what is the world coming to? People are starving. Like, this lot is so full. Let me show y'all. It is so full of cars. These are all parked cars waiting for food. And they're giving out the food right there. Like, make it make sense. Why we're starving in America? Just to get some food. Everybody should qualify for food stamp, whether you make enough or you don't, because expenses are high. Bills are high. Everything is high right now. We need food.
I've maxed out my credit cards and stopped paying them. I have turned off my phone. I don't pay for anything other than my car, my insurance, and my rent. And I'm still in the negative every single fucking week. And nobody wants to hire me and pay me anything more. And I watched my mom work her body into disability, and my body is doing the same exact things as hers was. And I have to work 2 or 3 jobs if I want to be able to afford to actually live in a house. I'm about to move into my car. And I'm not even renting a house or an apartment. I'm renting a giant house divided by like 6 people. And I can't afford it. I have nothing left to give. I have nothing left to give. My body is giving up. The only hope that I had was somebody else was chosen for it. Somebody else was liked better because I am nothing. I'm worth nothing. I'm not worth survival. I'm not worth being able to actually live in a home. I'm not worth being able to reproduce or have good mental health or take care of my physical health. I'm not worth any of that. What I'm worth is working myself until I die. And I'm not willing to work until my body can't work anymore. I would rather be and I told myself that if I didn't get this promotion, my last hope, because I've applied for literally everything else in the fucking state and the 2 states next door, that I would myself, and then I didn't get the promotion, so now I have to myself because I have nothing left to give but my life. I have nothing left to give but my life. So if you're seeing this, I'm probably honestly, because I have a date in mind and I know exactly what's gonna happen. So I hope America knows that my life and my death is because of capitalists and Republicans that decide that life is worth as much as you're able to work. Because I physically cannot work anymore. It is physically impossible for me to squeeze 25 hours of work into a 24-hour day. It is physically impossible. And if I wanted to be able to afford where I live right now to live comfortably, I'd have to work for, I think, about 16 and a half hours a day to work to be able to afford where I'm living, to not have to move into my car. Is that physically possible? Maybe. Is it physically possible for somebody whose body's already giving up? Probably not, because I've already tried. I worked 2 full-time jobs for a few months, and what happened is I got diagnosed with chronic fatigue syndrome and almost fucking died. No. I won't even be able to afford to kill myself because I can't afford burial costs or anything. I looked into it. I can't afford to cremate myself. I can't afford to have a headstone. My best hope is that my body goes missing and gets claimed by the fucking government. The government that I hate that killed me, by the way. I can't even afford to kill myself. And I want to be so bad. I want to be dead so bad. The only reason I'm not dead right now is because it's not the date that I want. And there's a specific date that I want for a specific reason because I can't control literally anything in my life, but I can't control the last 6 digits on my headstone. If I can afford a headstone. I can control that, and I'm not willing to relinquish that control. But I want to. I want to so bad, and I can't do anything about it because I can't afford to not work. I know this isn't healthy, and I know I need help, but I can't even get help because I can't afford to miss work to get help. Because if I lose my job, I lose my housing, and if I lose my housing, then I'm better off anyway. I've already been homeless. I can't do it again. I'm not gonna do it again. There's nothing left for me. There's nothing. I can't even start an OnlyFans or be a prostitute because nobody would pay to fuck me. Nobody would even pay to look at me. I have to pay people. I'm more likely to have to buy a prostitute so I can have the illusion that somebody wants to touch me than I would have to be paid to touch somebody. I can't even do, I'm too ugly of a woman to even do the things that women do when they're in these fucking situations. I'm too ugly to fucking be a whore. I can't afford, a sugar daddy because I'm too ugly for that. I'm too ugly to become a model or an actress or an influencer or anything like that. I'm talentless. I have no talent because I spent my whole life working. I don't have anything left. I'm just a drain on society at this point. Oh my god. I don't want to be alive. I genuinely don't want to be alive. I don't want to be alive at all. Literally at all. All I think about all day is how amazing it's going to feel when I step foot into that ocean. How freeing it's going to feel to finally be done, for this to finally be over. Because I'm so fucking tired. I'm so tired of this shit, bro. I'm so tired.
Damn. And I didn't even watch this video, but hey, that end, man. That end was that was tough to hear, but like I said, man, that's the mentality of these people. And this guy said, her self-awareness is remarkable, though. Right? Isaiah 19 and 15, neither shall there be any work for Egypt, which the head or tail, branch or rush may do. Just wait till OnlyFans gives up the ghost. Gonna be a lot of self-deletions. Right? And that's the spirit, this woman had on her right there was, instantly talking about, I'd rather just delete myself than keep living. And you could just tell that these people got demons on them, and ultimately, like I said, they don't have hope in this place no more. They don't see any hope, any light, and that's why, Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushai is ultimately the only answer, because that is the light. The light to this whole thing is that all this collapses, but majority of people in this world don't think like that, right? They're gonna sink, while the ship is going down. They're gonna stay on the ship while it's sinking. They're gonna cleave onto America as long as it's alive, and that's the wrong mentality, right? Ultimately, this place is gonna destroy you. But another thing too is that, one thing I've realized that a lot of people do is they get in a helpless, mentality, because here it is. This woman is talking about I can't do anything, but there's always something you can do, right? Here it is. She says she looks like shit, but hey, there's a reason she's obese. You know, hey, if she were to start, clean up her diet, start working out, that would affect, her physical health, her mental health, and hey, who knows, what you could do. That's something I want to say is even though we in hell, we in Babylon, America, it doesn't mean that you can't be a smart individual and better your situation, right? She talks about all I do is work, work, work. Hey, take a note, take some notes from the ish people, from these people. Try to, invest in something, make a little bit of money on the side. Go on YouTube and find, side hustles, make money on the internet. It's all types of things nowadays for you to better your situation. And, there's nothing wicked about that. I remember the Apostle Tahar talking about that, how, hey, you got to remember at the end of the day, we the Israelites, we the best of the best. He said, any of you brothers out there, hey, start your own business, start your own thing. You got to have faith in the Lord that he can help you in those aspects because he can. And the moral of the point I want to say is, there's always something you could do. And ultimately it goes back to there's always something Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shai can do. And that's where that hope comes in. Because, yeah. Yeah. These allergies kicking my ass, but hey, hopefully it was edifying. Without to give all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shai Bashim Rakak Wadash. And double honors to the elder bishops and apostles of Great Millstone that taught me this truth. Shalom to you like Shalom.